All right, guys, welcome back to Broke Bets. Lane here with you as always, and I got my co-host with me. What's up, Carson?
Oh, what's up? We got the Apex card here. Let's go.
Pretty shitty Apex card, but hopefully they get pretty scrappy. So let's just get into it. First fight: Stephanie Luciano versus Talita Alencar. I'm going with Alencar. This is a rematch off the Contender Series, which ended in a draw due to a 10-8 Luciano got in round 3. Truthfully, I feel like Alencar just didn't pace that fight right. A lot of these chicks that are great grapplers have that problem where they start extremely fast and they don't realize when they can't put the person away, they don't have any cardio left. So I think Alencar starts around the cage and then finds her moments in late parts of the rounds to find the takedowns, and I'll take her by decision here. Just winning each round on at least 2 minutes of control time, and taking that decision.
Yeah, I think she'll be pacing this fight a lot better, and we'll have gas left in that third if it does go that far. So, I think she'll be landing those takedowns and winning minutes here in this fight and win a decision.
All right, Alencar by decision. Also, video all in one take, guys. So sticking with us here. Next fight: Jarno Errens versus Youssef Zalal. Carson, who do you like in this one?
I lean towards Zalal. I think he had a really good performance last time out against Billy Q. In his second stint in the UFC, and he's still only 27 years old too. So he's got a lot of experience for how young he is, and I like his length too, and his submission ability as well. So, what do you think method of victory here is?
I'm gonna go with decision. I think Jarno Errens might be more possible that he just lays on his back if he does get taken to the mat and not give up his back or situations where he could be submitted. Great matchup. I hope to see some good striking because Jarno Errens is a good striker. The Dutch kickboxing style, fast kicks, explosive right hand, cuts down distance well. Very good last performance against Stephen Wynn.
Yeah. He threw a ton of volume in that performance too, which we didn't see prior than that fight. So
right.
His last fight was really good. He put on a ton of volume and beat up Stephen Wynn pretty good.
Yeah, and Zalal, his first stint in the UFC, faced some high level fighters, Topuria. On his second stint here, clearly a very talented fighter. Never really had to leave the UFC, but I think it was just a way to build up more wins and bring back some confidence coming back in here. So I like the grappling edge for sure. So yeah, I like Youssef Zalal here by decision. Next fight, we got Karl Williams versus Jhonata Diniz. I'm just going to stick with the wrestling. It's hard to go against it. Diniz is going to be levels above, I think, on the feet in terms of just willing to be a wrecking ball, kind of get in there and do the damage. But getting taken down by Austin Lane is just not a good look. A guy that isn't known for any of his grappling at all and getting stuck on his back. He also was pretty tired in that fight himself. I feel like Karl Williams, is also very unimpressive. Only being able to do a blast double leg on people is not a good way to win fights consistently in the sport. But at a heavyweight, it just seems to work on the guys who aren't wrestlers. So,
yeah, I agree with you here as well. Diniz, I like him. I think he can be very entertaining, but obviously his takedown defense is not all that great. And we need to check on his manager. Who's his manager matching him up against Karl Williams here? Because I think he needs to find a new manager. That is not a very good matchup for him. He's 33 years old too, so he doesn't have a ton of time here. But Karl Williams just blasting double legs. I think he'll be able to find those in each of those rounds, and we'll be able to hold him down and win a decision here. He's not finishing much of anybody, so
the gassing out is a huge issue too. I mean, Karl Williams facing Justin Tafa. He was dead exhausted, but Justin Tafa is a fucking idiot and could not defend a takedown. Basic takedown stuff as well. Chance of whoever gasses out here is obviously the edge of a live bet you could find on a fight like this. But yeah, if I was the UFC, I would want nothing to do with Karl Williams. He's just killing guys. I wouldn't say killing. He's Bilal Muhammadan guys that
could be entertaining.
That could be entertaining.
Yeah.
So
like Diniz in his last fight against Austin Lane, that was an awesome KO in that second round. But I mean, I think his takedown defense is just god awful.
Right. Well, Karl Williams by decision. Next fight, Karol Rosa versus Pannie Kianzad. Give me Karol Rosa. I think she's just this is just one of those chick fights that is totally going to be extremely hard to score than me kind of going at it on the feet, but I'm going to say a little bit more aggression and damage on the side of Karol Rosa. She's been active here in the UFC over the course of last 2 years, but Kianzad I see hesitancy to throw, kind of gotten taken care of pretty fast by Chiasson, and just hasn't looked good on her most recent outing. So give me Karol Rosa.
Yeah, pretty much a toss-up like all these chick fights seem to be. Who's going to be doing a little more damage, maybe a little more ground control time. But, yeah, tough fight to call, but lean towards a Rosa here in this one.
Not much to say about fights like these. I always feel like all these chick fights, they're always way closer than you expect. The judges have a tough time scoring them because they both go back and forth on the feet. Maybe a slight ground game advantage for Kianzad, but Rosa, I think, a little bit more nasty in the clinch with the knees, the elbows. Has more options, I'd say. So, Rosa by decision. Next fight, Danny Barlow versus Nikolay Veretennikov. Hopefully I said that somewhat correctly. Well, this is a tough fight. This is a tough matchup to actually call, and the odds are twisted, I think, but maybe it's a short notice type deal that could make it, this way. I'm going to go with Danny Barlow because of that reach advantage, but Nikolay has good Muay Thai background, Sambo background. He fought Michael Morales on the Contender Series and put a really competitive fight on. I mean, he held his own. At times, he had Morales nervous to shoot, and there's definitely good overall technique there. And Danny Barlow can overextend himself with his left hand at times. But again, I feel like that reach should play a factor in a fight like this. In a small cage as well, it can make things interesting. Close fight. I'm going to go by decision as well here. I'm not going to go by knockout. I think that both of these guys can survive to a decision. What do you think?
Yeah, I do think short notice has a lot to do with the odds here in this one. Danny Barlow, like you said, he's very long and lengthy, and I think he'll be using that to his advantage here. And Nikolay, however you pronounce his name, coming in on short notice. He fought 4 months ago, winning by first round KO. So he's strung together 3 pretty good performances since that Contender Series fight. So should be a halfway decent fight, I think. But I think Barlow will be landing the more significant strikes and doing more damage here.
He's got a good whip on that left hand cut down range. And yeah, possibly a prospect to come up. We haven't seen that ground game quite as tested, and maybe that's an element that's going to be brought into a fight like this. And as well as seeing maybe the cardio going late. I know, he went to round 3 with Quinlan, but at the same time, Quinlan kind of was just covering up and absorbing a lot of strikes. So, but yeah, Barlow by decision. Next fight. Yikes, this is a bad fight. We got I'm not even gonna do the first name. Grigoriou versus Kazama. Going with Grigoriou. I can't pick Kazama. I just can't. How easily he got taken care of by Nakamura. I know Nakamura's a prospect, very good. And Armfield's a great boxer, but this dude just doesn't protect his face. the way that he kind of cuts down range, even with his footwork, leaves him a little bit exposed to get hit in the face. Grigoriou's got a power advantage, and I think overall the contact that he's going to be able to make just on Kazama's face over and over again will result in a KO. So give me Grigoriou for a second round knockout. This guy throws with a lot of power, tries to throw his kicks out there. Not terribly great anywhere, but for the most part, he's looking to end fights. So give me Grigoriou.
Yeah, Kazama is just not very good at all. I think they try to get him in the UFC because he's with that road to UFC stuff. So obviously didn't have very good opponents leading up to that, and Grigoriou does have some halfway decent opponents he's fought prior, but not many as well. So bad fight here in my opinion, but I think Grigoriou will be doing a little more as Kazama.
Yeah, feels like one of those.
His face.
Feels like one of those going nowhere fights where if either fighter wins, they go nowhere, and whoever loses pretty much gets cut. So, hard to say for Grigoriou, but for Kazama, a little bit more of a case. Yeah, nothing more to say here. Grigoriou KO round 2. Next fight, Allan Nascimento versus Filho. We've seen Nascimento, Filho a couple times here in the UFC. I'm going with Nascimento. I think the size advantage would play in. He's a big flyweight, as well as being experienced. The low leg kicks are very damaging, fast, and I think he's just going to be the better grappler. I don't think we see a ton of grappling, but Filho's boxing, in my opinion, on the feet, too hook heavy. Too excited at times, and I think he leaves himself open to be hit. I'm going to take Nascimento by decision. I know we're going decision heavy here, but I do feel like a lot of these fights don't really give finish type matchups. So what do you think here?
Yeah, I think this will be a good fight. Both these guys are pretty good as well too. So Nascimento's never been finished before, and Jafel Filho's when he's winning, or I guess I should say he's only been to one decision that he won. So when he's winning, he's usually finishing guys. So something's got to give. I think Nascimento's durability will be a little more effective here, and I think he'll pull off a decision here, or I could see a submission of Filho. Filho's only been submitted twice, but one decision is lost. So.
We can switch it to a submission if you want to. It makes more sense to have a submission here, based on this. What round do you think a submission could play out?
2.
All right.
I mean, Nascimento, 12 of his 15 subs are in that first round, so tough to say, but
I was just thinking too, like the small cage, they're probably forced into a lot more grappling sequences where it could end up in a submission as well. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah, maybe when they're dry as well too. So.
Right. All right. Nascimento submission round 2. Next fight, oh my God, we got the two legends back in the cage. Yana Santos versus Chelsea Chandler. Yana Santos is awful, people. Chelsea Chandler's not good either, but Yana Santos is awful. Give me Chelsea Chandler. Yana Santos, her only game plan is to push people up against the cage and sit there and knee them in the thighs. She has no damage in her game plan, no striking. Cardio's not even that good for it. Just overall a bad fighter. 3-fight skid, Aldana, Holm, and Rosa, and Holm dominated her pretty easily. I feel like Chelsea Chandler, with the wrestling in her back pocket, could take this fight to the ground if she wants to, and as well just be the better striker. Her left hand's all right. She has weird moments, and as I'm sure you'll mention, Carson, the one in the Dumont fight, as well as weird reactions being punched in the Nunes fight. So What do you think on this one?
Yeah, she's got good escape mobility running around in that cage. I'm not sure what this is doing on the main card here. Maybe they just wanted to get a little break in.
Be inclusive.
Some fights, but right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Chelsea Chandler might be doing a little more damage. Santos is just not that good. 34 years old too, as well. Chandler not too much younger at 33, but yeah, I think Chandler here is a little better.
Not much to break down on a lot of these fights. I see it like I can't pick Yana Santos in a matchup against almost anybody unless she's facing a fucking flyweight or something. So, or a strawweight, excuse me. But all right, moving on. Here we go. We could see a fun knockout in this one. We got Chepe Mariscal versus Damon Jackson. Give me Chepe. Give me Chepe. Taking him by I'm going to do a second round knockout. The judo background will be good for him to prevent takedowns, back takes, things like that on Chepe's side, as well as just throwing with damage and being like a pit bull in there. So this dude just fights his ass off. He's got that dog in him. I feel like Damon fades frequently in fights, as well as just been finished multiple times in his career. Bad. There's that jumping knee knockout from the PFL that I always see of him. It just literally he folds like a chair. So yeah, give me Chepe. What do you think about this fight?
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the better fights here on this card. I think Chepe is super entertaining. He throws with a lot of intention behind his punches too. And he throws quite a bit of volume as well. So, yeah, you mentioned he's got decent judo to prevent some of those takedowns from Jackson. So, I think Chepe will be ripping the body as well too here, and throwing a ton of volume. So, give me Chepe. Although I do think he lost his last fight against Morgan Charrier, but I think it could have gone either way. So.
I was going to say that too. That fight was close, but it did feel like Charrier won it. The energy that he brings, though, to even make the fights close, even if he was losing, is a good sign. Because, again, he's willing to stay in the fight, be the dog. Has pretty good...
And he's got really good cardio, too. He's
right.
Going 15 minutes and throwing tons of volume in that 15 minutes.
He's got knees, kicks. He's really well-rounded mixed martial artist, and I think... Maybe just like not too he has a deceiving look. If you looked at him, you probably wouldn't think he's like a super gritty fighter and shit, but he is. So, yeah, Chepe KO round 2. Next, the co-main event: Javid Basharat versus Chris Gutierrez. Oh, I'm going the underdog. I'm going Gutierrez, and I'm going by decision. I feel like Basharat is kind of like our boy Corey Sandhagen in a way, where he's really good at game planning, doing some things, but man, there's not enough damage on his fights. And in the Zahabi fight, hesitant to throw, hesitant to walk into range. Looked good for moments in the Victor Henry fight, but a lot of decisions here in the UFC. He's been somewhat dominant through some of them, but Gutierrez is a puzzle himself to somewhat fight. People try to grapple him. He has decent takedown defense, but when he is beat to his hips, he does get stuck on his back. We've seen that in the Son fight, but that was more that he gave up in that fight. Like, once he was down, Son just kept him there, and Gutierrez made his excuses to stay there. But the Pedro Munoz fight, he also had moments after being hit pretty hard in that one, but I just feel like Gutierrez's leg kicks, range striking, it will be slightly better than Basharat's. And Basharat's going to need takedowns where he's going to be shooting further from range and doesn't have all that body strength, I think, to get those anyway. So, interesting fight. Give me Gutierrez, though. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do think this is an interesting fight. Both these guys coming off losses here. Yeah, I mean, that Zahabi loss is not a very good look at all. But I do think Basharat could bounce back here. even though it is a step up in competition. So I think grappling would benefit him here in this fight. Um, even just the threat of the takedown, I think that can help his striking here as well too. Obviously, Gutierrez's leg kicks are super good, super quick. But yeah, I think Bashra can do enough with the grappling and with the striking here.
Would you take him by decision, or how would you take him?
Yeah, decision. He hasn't won I guess UFC fight by any other method than a decision. So
Right.
I think decision.
And I think Gutierrez too. He definitely shows like a lot more hesitancy for that damage. Once he saw that Pedro Munoz had damage in his punches, he became very hesitant. Um, Obviously, the same with Sonya Dong. Alatang has power, but he just stayed a step ahead in that fight. And the hard thing is, Chris Gutierrez, these Jonathan Martinez guys, they get a couple leg kicks on you in round one, and they just stay ahead in fights. So, they're either behind the entire fight or they get an early lead and they just stay up. So, yeah, close fight. I'm going to go with Gutierrez. Moving on to the main event. Boo! Why'd we make this main event? Boo! I don't hate either of these guys, but God, what are we doing? Marcin Tybura versus Serghei Spivac. I'm going Tybura. He won the first time they fought. He's well-rounded. He's fairly durable. And he's done pretty well with mixing in grappling and surviving grappling throughout his UFC career. In a 5-round fight, I like his cardio better to win something like this. And Serghei Spivac's been pretty takedown oriented in his whole entire career. So I'm gonna take Tybura by. I think I have to take him by decision. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Tybura has shown pretty good cardio for a heavyweight, especially in this one being a 5-rounder. I think it could go longer too as well if they don't finish each other obviously early. But yeah, I mean I think Spivac kind of relies heavily on his ground game, and Tybura has shown to have some durability on the ground. Never been submitted before, but yeah, I think Tybura can survive on the ground and win this fight here.
Yeah, I mean, again, this main event. I just don't feel like there's much to even talk about because Serghei Spivac's also been put in main event opportunities. Cyril Gane, it was just awful. We put him against Derek Lewis, which was kind of a layup with the ground game. And Tybura, put him up against Tai Tuivasa, who was on a 3-fight skid when he came into that. Tom Aspinall main event, quick knockout loss. So I don't know. These guys are neither of them are really draws to the sport. I'm just always thinking with these Apex cards, like there's so many better options for things you can string together. But they've really been stacking the pay-per-views. It just seems like frequently. So, yeah, that's all I got for this. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, last card before 305. I think that card will be way better than this one. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Every time they go to Australia, they got at least good fighters and scrappy fighters that want to be there. So,
exactly.
on to the bets now to polish everything off, guys. So won a little profit here. I only had 3 bets on the card. We had Alonzo Menifield Azamat not to go the distance and hit that one. Put the cheddar behind it. I just feel like I knew Azamat's a slicker striker, and I knew Menifield had the knockout power in his hands, as well as Menifield has pretty good takedown defense, so it felt like it was going to be on the feet. The only thing that was scary was that Menifield was covering up a lot, and he was surviving some of the exchanges until he finally didn't, so that made me happy. But yeah, he pulled out that one for us.
Yeah. Kind of worrisome after that first round where Menifield seemed to be eating all those punches, but yeah, eventually got him out of there.
Yeah, he was swinging, and body shots were nice too.
Yeah, they were.
Missed the Shara, Booten, and Mikhail Olejniczak under 1.5 rounds. Just you know, Shara wasn't targeting the body enough, and then as well, not enough power in his punches. Since he stands so tall, there's just no base under his punches. He's more just a lot more slapping type blows to the face. Even he kicked Olajaychik in the head a couple times, and it's more of a slapping kick because he isn't turning his hips over on a lot of those kicks. But um, it was somewhat of a scrappy fight, still a favorable matchup for Shara. Under 1.5 missed, and that's like the first time in quite a few fights that Olajaychik's missed under. So a little bit of an anomaly, but a matchup that kind of made it happen was just Olajaychik chasing the whole fight and Shara just circling. So thoughts?
Yeah, we saw Olajaychik get hurt to the body early in the Pereira fight against Michel Pereira. He got hurt to the body here in this fight against Shara, and then Shara didn't target it at all.
Well, he's only got one eye. He can't see it,
Yeah, maybe that was the deal where he didn't see that he hurt him to the body, but yeah, I felt like those body kicks were there all day, and if he whipped a few of those, I feel like he would have been able to put him out.
Dumb thought just came to my mind. If you eye poke Shara in his dead eye, what happens? Like, does he feel that?
I don't know. It falls out.
I don't know if you eye poked him, if he just like wouldn't even blink. I don't know. Weird thought. Anyway, moving on. Garam, very close fight that he was in. I mean, it could have been stopped in round 1 had he not rolled to his back. He got caught so clean and was just, getting kind of lit up. And then rounds 2 and 3 started the takeover, and bad corner work from Vucenic's corner to make him think he won the fight. Definitely had to fight for moments in round 3, and Garam's back take off the cage was absolutely bizarre. So, thoughts there?
Yeah. Vucenic is he's not bad. He's pretty good. I feel like short notice definitely played a factor here, going up a weight class as well. So all those factors were part of the reason we like Rom too. So yeah, take that for what it's worth.
And then Gaziv was just easy money because Dante May sucks. It was pretty easy to predict that Gaziv, even with bad cardio, could win a fight like that because Mays has horrible cardio. No get-up game. Gaziv didn't even protect his chin a lot of the times, too. He got hit clean a couple times.
Yeah, he had his mouth open, too.
Yeah. Other fights, again, the main event, I just feel like Corey, sure, he did a great job of defending grappling, but that's a quarter of what needs to happen in there. You need to be able to create damage. Like being taken down is fine, man. Just he proved that he could stop the back takes and stuff, but go for it a little bit on the feet. You came into round 4 and 5, and he kind of just gave up on the feet. It seemed like, and he was too worried about being taken down. What was your perspective on that fight?
Yeah, I mean, he just didn't throw any punches. I felt like his leg kicks did good in that first round.
Oh, true, yeah.
Then yeah, I mean, his main focus was defending the takedown and wasn't really throwing much.
Kind of his downfall. Cheeto Vera fought like Cheeto Vera. He stayed behind the whole fight. He won round 2, which is very Cheeto Vera-like. But Davison fought really well in round 3.
Yeah, and knocked him down. I don't know who's knocked down Cheeto, if he's been knocked down before.
That was the first time.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. Coming up from Figgy was 125er, knocking down Cheeto. So predicted that one right. And then Kyle Fernandez, he looked really good. And Muhammad Yahya absolutely sucks. He's probably a disgrace to that country. And how can Trevor Peake not knock him out?
Why do they make these premature signings of fighters that clearly will struggle in a home atmosphere? Like, they'll go to India for that fucking Jubilee. They would go to India for that dude probably, and he would lose. And then, Tony Ferguson fight, it was just easy to predict. My God. Did not look in shape at all either. So he's old though. The T
He's
is
not
gone.
done yet.
Crazy.
That his half retirement, half not retiring speech was so Tony Ferguson like to.
I don't know who you could possibly put him in a fight with where I'd be interested. I'm not interested.
Nick Diaz.
No, I'm still not. With how bad the Nate Diaz one was, it's over. I'm done watching them. I don't want to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats to Cedric Dumas for talking about everybody, about his charges of being a wife beater.
He's not a wife beater. That was so long ago.
I feel like people didn't even know that about him besides like us type people, that do this type of thing. So anyway, did a little positive card, and yeah, guys, check out Patreon, Beat That Line movement, Instagram, all that shit, and peace.
Peace.